This is the KGM Chronicles. I am your host, Natan, and today I want to take some time to talk about the size of the group you play with. The amount of people you play with in your group. If you're the DM, or even a player looking for a group, at most I would say 6, with you being that 6th person. Or if you're the DM, 6 with you being the 7th, because you've got the screen in front of you. You're just rolling, just not as many monsters, per se. I mean, try and keep the experience balanced, but, you know. Generally, you would want 3 to 5. 2, kind of slow on the combat. 3's not going to be enough to get you through a dungeon. Usually, well, it might. Defender, leader, striker. Controller's not absolutely essential. You would prefer to have him there, but he's not essential. 4 is the perfect number in that you have the striker, the defender, the leader, and the controller, all 4 present. Hopefully. 5 is 2 strikers. The defender, the leader, and the controller. The second striker adds more DPS, and you get a 5-man squad, not unlike World of Warcraft, which is what they were going with 4th edition. Of course, I'm using 4th edition terms for the classes, so that should be no surprise there. At any rate, what was I going to say? Oh yes. Group size, if it's over 6, I would suggest looking for a new group. Or if you're the DM, I would suggest trying to find someone in that, or some of the people in that group that wouldn't mind playing on a different day and forming their own group. With you still DMing, but with them playing not with everyone else that you're pulling them away from. Because if the group gets too big, initiative's slow to crap. Like your snail-paced initiative, your snail-paced turn order, everyone getting their turns done, it takes an hour for 2 rounds of combat. And if people miss, if at least half the people miss, plus the creatures, you know, it's gonna be a frickin' snail pace. You're looking at an hour or 2 of just 2 rounds of combat alone. And that's not counting the fact that you still have talking to people. You may have more than one encounter planned that evening or that day. And it just slows everything down. And it's just a bore to sit in and play during one of those. Like, I was part of a campaign, granted this was the first time DM, but I was part of a campaign where the DM had pulled together a pretty big group, you know? And it was at least 10 or 11 people there, counting the DM. Let's see. Okay, it was 9 people. My bad. I was trying to get the math done in my head. But it was 9 people counting the DM. I was off by 1 or 2. That's not terrible. But it's still a huge group. I mean, you can make 2 groups off that alone. I mean, that's 2 groups of 4 you could make with that one group. And we were all just bunched around a table at one of the players' houses. um, just so we could play, but turn order was slow, and it was a huge board just getting through. Like, I'd be sitting there, I'd have my phone out for crying out loud, texting somebody that wasn't at the game because they didn't play D&D, obviously. But I would have my phone out, texting them, just chatting about something else, waiting for my turn to show up, and then when finally my turn came around, they'd be like, "Oh, really? Is it finally my turn? I've been waiting God knows how long." And of course the DM had a bit of a problem with me having my cell phone out. I'm like, what am I gonna do? I got nothing to read on my end. I'm just sitting here waiting, hoping someone gets their turn, or gets done with their turn quick enough so that the next person can get done, and then it gets back to me so that I can do something. And this is just from the player's viewpoint. I can only imagine how much work the DM has to go through to make sure the encounter is balanced for that amount of people. That's a lot of prep time that's got to go into it. And granted, this was a rookie DM, and he's been heavily discouraged by the mistakes that he made. He said he's not going to DM again. I say it's a bad idea. I think he should jump right back into it. Like, my first campaign, it only got to second level. I made some mistakes. You know what? I learned. You know why? Because I wanted to keep doing this. I love DMing. I love Dungeons and Dragons. Playing this game is a lot of fun. And really, I can't see any reason why you wouldn't play it. You know? I mean, like, it is one of the best games out there to play. And this is a tabletop game. It is, in my opinion, in my humble opinion, this is the best tabletop to play. So, as a DM, don't be afraid to make mistakes. Learn from them. I mean, you're going to make mistakes, especially early on. There's going to be mistakes you make. Like taking on too big a group. Because that takes a lot of prep time. Or not having the rules down. Or not even knowing your group. Even if it's the right size of a group. If you don't really know the group all that well, and you do something that they don't like, I mean, hey, learn from it. Don't get discouraged by it. Mistakes are going to happen. You just got to learn from it. Take it in stride. Climb right back in the saddle and ride on, man. Because DMing is fun, and it is a learning process early on. I'm not going to deny it is a learning process. There are books out there to help. There are forums out there to help. D&D has 3 DM guides. This one's basically a compilation of the first 2. And this is just 4th edition. I don't know how many they have for the older editions. I don't know how many they're going to have for next. Pathfinder. Core Rulebook has a good section on Game Master work. There's a book on game mastering. You know? If you're a dungeon master or you're a game master, read the books that have even the slightest information that a game master would need. Study it. Have those books with you at the table. I mean, that'll help a lot. On-the-fly rule reference, you know? Like say this. I mean, yeah, I'm gonna be running a online campaign starting possibly this Friday, which at the time of this recording is tomorrow. So I've got a little more of an advantage in that I can look stuff up online. I can use the D&D Insider Compendium if needed. I am using RPG Table, so that helps quite a bit. RPG Table Online available at GameTableOnline.com. Yeah, that was a plug. It's easy to use. I mean, don't get me wrong, the subscription's a hassle to work around or and whatnot, but really it's not that big a deal. I mean, you can buy what you need and get done with it all without concern. So, I mean, it's not that big a problem running through it. You just gotta work with it and make sure you're familiar with the system, and just be sure you're willing to do everything it takes to get gold if you're not going to spend money on gold. Gold goes a long way, or it doesn't really go a long way at RPG Table, but, just get what you need with how much you've got, with what you can afford, but don't go for things you don't need. Like, if you're gonna dungeon master or game master, get the tiles you need for the maps you're gonna have early on. Don't build for tomorrow, or don't build for next month. Build for this week. And so, but yeah, I mean, I'm gonna be on RPG Table. So I've got the rules compendium, or I've got the compendium on D&D Insider I can access if I need it. But having one of these and having this is a huge help. I mean, yeah, I'm not going to have the rules compendium. I don't have that one yet. And when I get that, I'm going to be reviewing that and this book, Heroes of the Forgotten Kingdoms. That is my next set of reviews, and then I'll get the tiles, and that'll be it for the Essentials reviews, and possibly all reviews in general. I may not do any more reviews after the Essentials line for 4th edition. Next might be the next wave of reviews I do once I start getting those books. But yeah, at any rate, I just feel better as a DM having the books I need on hand with me rather than having to go looking online. Because like sometimes computers aren't that quick, so it's gonna be slow getting the information needed. So I just grab the book. Oh, I don't know if they caught that. I don't know if they caught everything I was talking about, but it is definitely essential to have all the books you need on hand as a dungeon master, so that you don't lose everything, or you have quick access to everything. As a player, I'd recommend having the player's handbooks, and if you're using the Essentials line solely for your campaign, then get the rules compendium as well. I would definitely recommend having all 3 of those books on hand. But yeah, main focus of this, as a DM, don't be afraid to make mistakes. Watch your group size. 3 to 5, 6 at most for the players around the table, plus you behind the screen. Have what you need. Don't get more than what you need. Especially if you're using RPG Table, Roll20's not great. It's not terrible. It's not terrible, but it's not that great either. So, but yeah, that is this episode of the KHDM Chronicles. I'm your host, Natan. Until the next time I'm out of the cage, I'll catch y'all later.